Wow, thank you.
Yeah, don't you love it?
Yeah, I do.
That's so cool. So Emma's back. And looking good. So we're going to make it blonde today. Yeah, so we're going to go for like a Jean Seberg 60s Pixie. I think we're going to cut it too. I think we're going to do both. Just to turn it into that early 60s Pixie kind of thing. But I think that's what we said last time. We did a short sides and back last time, and then we said we were going to let the sides and back grow in, and this time cut the top shorter to have that classic pixie shape where the sides and back aren't too short, make it blonde. So yeah, so we've done 70s with you, now we're doing early 60s pixie blonde. Yeah, cool. Constantly changing.
Do I need to take it off?
No, it's kind of cool in here because it's autumn now. And we're being good little environmentalists and having the heater off. It's not that cold.
Yeah, not quite yet.
Yeah.
It's getting there though.
I don't pay for heat in this building, but I still am the energy miser because it doesn't matter if you pay for it or not. It's just how I am.
Does the building get quite cold?
Well, they have a good heating system in this building. But at night, because they shut off the system at night, if you're ever in here late at night, yeah, you feel the cold come in the middle of winter. But not so bad. Like, I don't think it ever gets below 18 or 16, and like 18 degrees, it'll drop to about that. Because we have exposure to the exterior there, but the rest of it's all protected. You know, it's a building. It never gets that cold in the core of the building anyway.
Oh, I did wash my hair today. Will that make any impact on the...
Nothing.
I was never entirely sure.
No, nothing.
I did like Google research.
Yep.
And like I get some saying, you should never wash it. And then others going, you should wash it.
Yeah.
And then I'm not sure.
Now explain that to you. There's no universal rule, right? Now what you have are color companies produce their color lines, and they'll have their own policy within their color companies, right? And one will say this, and one will say this, and one will say this. And I'll do the example that L'Oreal is the French company, and they say not to wash the hair, right? And then you have Schwarzkopf, which is an example of a German company. I use but Schwarzkopf is an example of Germany. They say to wash the hair on clean hair, right? And the only thing I can come up with the difference between the two, I guess Schwarzkopf thinks that the impurities will affect the result of the color. I don't buy that. Color goes to everything. I think L'Oreal says to not wash the hair because a greasy scalp is a protective layer from itchiness, right?
Sense.
Yeah, but it's going to go through it all anyway, right?
Yeah.
So the only real reason I can see is that if you have a dirty scalp, you're protecting your scalp, right? If you freshly wash it, then your scalp is more vulnerable, right? But then, you know, the Germans, I guess the impurities may affect the performance of the product. I don't know yet. This is, every color company will say something different. I don't know why people do that. Well, they went somewhere else and donated their hair, and what ended up happening, you can't use that hair now. Why didn't you just come here in the first place? Anyhow. So as I was saying, every color company has their own, their own policies on it. And what happens when we go on the internet, someone's giving their view based on what they've learned from who they've worked with and believe that's the right answer. And someone else will say, that's what the internet is. Well, no, we were told this, and no, we were told this. So that's what you're going to find on the internet. The truth is there's all kinds of different... It falls back to, like, I use Wella. I'm going to do what Wella says.
Right.
But I'm not going to go to the internet and say, it's this, because there's no universal answer. That's what Wella does, or Aveda does this way, or Schwarzkopf does this way, or L'Oreal does this way. So there's no universal answer, right?
And I'm guessing they do things a little different too, chemicals and things.
Yep. But I do buy into the dirty scalp theory, like we're doing a bleaching tone, so this is on scalp, it can irritate a little bit. If I freshly scrubbed your scalp and made it clean with the shampoo, with the, of course it's going to itch, right? So there's some truth to that, And also in hair, there's all kinds of discretion. Like right now I am using discretion. Like, oh yeah, well you washed it this morning, but I haven't freshly washed it at the basin,
Yeah. I mean, knowing it was going to be bleached, I just did a gentle wash with
Yeah,
it.
that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. We have all kinds of clients. Like some come to the gym and just wash their hair in the gym, and they, you know, and some haven't washed it for 2 or 3 days. Everything walks through the door. That's different, and the result's the same walking out. So.
Because my hair gets quite oily, so sometimes I need to do a little bit of a more intensive wash.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I find that it starts to get stringy at the front. I hate
Yeah.
how that looks.
Yeah. But because you washed it this morning, it's probably oils that have already gotten into the scalp already.
Yeah, a little
Because
bit.
obviously you have that type of skin. So it won't be, your scalp won't be itchy from this. You've never done this kind of color before, have you?
Okay, so one
I'm
time
doing
when I was little, or not little, when I was still like first year university, I used box dye and I just did it over top of my natural hair color.
Yeah.
So it all turned out really lovely, and all my natural highlights stayed in. It looked really nice. And then I got a little bit braver, and my friend was bleaching their hair.
Oh, so you put bleach over top of color, and it went like carrot orange or something like that. It went carrot orange?
I didn't know any better.
No, question to pass. Don't you love doing something like that? You're like, you rinse it off, you're like,
oh no, what have I done?
yeah, exactly.
It was like,
my hair's ruined.
It was like
it's actually not ruined, it's just unwanted tones.
Yeah, it was. I got like a silver shampoo, and it kind of fixed it, but I needed to keep doing it over.
But that's by teenage standards, it was fine.
Yeah, absolutely. But like, I was horrified.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be seen out in public, so I just wore.
Yeah, initially.
I just wore beanies.
Initially, but eventually you get over it.
Yeah.
Because when you're a teenage brain, it's like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. No one's gonna ask me to the ball now. You know, it's like, what am I gonna do? My life's over. But then you get past it because you rebuild your confidence. That's the teenage years are the most fun for that. I bet you it's that girl again. I don't have to answer the phones because technically we're closed for the day after hours. But you know what, I answer anyway. People at home can see the progress. It's getting white. Yeah, it's gonna look. So we're ready to rinse. You can turn your head side to side.
Do I take this off?
No, you leave that on. Yeah, no, we'll come over rinse it, but yeah, you can see how blonde it's gotten. Come on over. Come on over. Yeah, so she gets the Return of the Jedi Luke Skywalker haircut. And it's so good. But the whole time we're doing the haircut, we're talking Star Wars.
Of course. Yeah.
So anyhow, here's, we haven't toned it yet, but we can see how blonde we got it. Cool. I'll grab some toners. What I'll do, I'll blast you into this machine to get some of the moisture out of it. And then we'll tone it. And you want to do like a violet-y tone.
That would be really cool.
It doesn't match the 60s so much, but we're going to do it anyway. Because I'm inspired to do it. The 60s, they just would have bleached it as white as possible, as light as possible. Try to get the yellow as much as possible. They weren't really doing like the violets we do today.
I mean, like, violets is a good way of getting it out too, though.
Well, that's why we do it, because it cancels yellow.
Yeah.
But back then, like, you look at the bleaching they were doing, like the Marilyn Monroe, like how much violet did you ever see in Marilyn Monroe's hair?
You wouldn't see me.
No. They were bleaching the crap out of it.
So just over bleaching then?
Yeah, they bleach. I don't know how they were. No idea what they were doing with that stuff. But there was one Canadian actress around Marilyn Monroe's time that ended up with a brain tumor. Yeah, no, I know. But with the stuff they were using back then. Yeah. So they were just trying to cancel out yellow as much as possible by killing it.
Yeah.
But not with a violet toner. Like we'll do a bleach and then we'll do a violet to neutralize it. You look at Marilyn Monroe's hair, I don't think I've ever seen violet, a shade of violet in her hair, ever. So anyhow, that was a different type. Yeah.
I'm excited to see where they go with all of the... I think they're doing a new series with Boba Fett.
Yeah, I heard that too.
So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what
Sure. And then I'll renew my subscription again. And if they can take it in a direction where I'm starting to, thank you Disney, you're finally turning us into a direction, I think I'll keep the subscription running. And maybe just maybe, I'll take my kids to the theme park. Because I got 2 daughters. You know, but you don't want guys like me jaded because I could take my kids to Canada's Wonderland instead. I don't have to go through California. Like I can fly when I fly back to Toronto through LA, go to Disney, or I can just go straight, or just go straight for Toronto and go to Canada's Wonderland instead. Because like that way there's like, oh, I got this better idea. It's Canada's Wonderland. We don't have to go to Disney. It's not the only theme park in the world.
Yeah, I mean, isn't there also a Knott's Berry Farm there?
Yeah, there's Knott's Berry Farm too, and Magic Mountain. Disney always has competition. They're well aware.
Yeah, we like Knott's Berry Farm. We went over to
Yeah,
Disneyland.
I would do. Yeah.
When we went to Disneyland, back on another thing that we were talking about, because we weren't warned about tipping. No one told us.
Oh, yeah.
So we got there and we went to a restaurant and we sat down and ate. We left our bill, but we didn't realize we were meant to leave a little bit on top as a tip.
Yeah, I know.
And we felt really awful after. Because I think they were giving us dirty looks after we couldn't figure out why.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, that's...
La-di-da, off we go, thank you for the
and
food.
like, see you guys.
Yeah.
Really?
Sorry.
You just gave us the shaft? Then they're like all confused. They looked happy.
Yeah, we were so happy with that.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was so good.
Yeah.
Off we go. They're like, did they really? Were they lying?
No, you know what? Because they would have seen it with other tourists. Like, you're not the only tourist that goes in there. So, but anyhow, at the end of the day, they get tips are tips. It all averages out. There's always someone who gives you the shot because they weren't happy with something, or the tourist who doesn't know any better. But it all just averages out, right? It's not like, oh, I'm short on my rent this month because a Kiwi family. That's not happening. Don't worry about it. Yeah. And also, like, tip behavior, you get into tip behavior. Like, someone's like, wow, I was a little bit unhappy they didn't offer me a second coffee, so I'll just have to tip. As their way of punishing somebody. No, but you get into that kind of stuff. Or they'll run out with the payment bill with no tip because they're upset about something.
Here.
Or you know what? I'm not that kind of person. I'll pay with the proper tip, but I'll say something. But you know what else? And I've done this too. I've actually doubled the tip when I wasn't happy with something. But I'll double the tip, and I'll say I wasn't happy with this, and I won't be back, because it shows I'm that customer. I gave you a great tip, but just so you know, I won't be back for these reasons, right? I've actually done that before too.
Right.
Yeah. Because I'm not punishing them monetarily. I'm showing that, you know, when this is a tip that's more than you should deserve, but I'm not coming back for these reasons, right?
Hopefully.
And I've done that before too. Yeah, I've done that before too. That's not punishing a person. That's showing that I would have been great patronage. But I'm showing you great patronage right now, but I won't be back for these reasons. And I've done that.
What would be a thing that would make you not come back to a restaurant?
It's extremely rare. Like I think in my entire life, and I moved here at 39 years old. I can count on this hand how many times I've done that in my life. Like it's not something I would do regularly. It would take such an extraordinary circumstance for that to happen. But that's how I would have managed that. So it's not like I'm shafting them on the tip. I probably even it happened with one girl, and it was a place that was a regular, but it's like I don't know what it was, and I knew the owner of the place and wasn't there that night. It was through the. But I think I had one beer and I gave her a $20 tip and told her that I wasn't going to be back. Just, you know, an average tip on a drink is about $1, $1.50, whatever. So here's a $20 tip, just so you know, I won't be back. And I said that right. That sends a message. But also I knew the owner of that place, so I can have a word later on with him. Yeah. But things were falling apart that night. Up to standard. That place is still there. It's on the Danforth in Toronto. I won't name names. It's a great little place, but something wasn't working that night. I won't be back. No, I went back, just not under that person's watch.
Hopefully they learn a little lesson, maybe.
That's very close to the time I was moving to New Zealand anyway, so. Yeah. My old neighborhood. The Greek town. But that part wasn't the Greek town, it was on the edge of it.
A Greek town?
Yeah, the Greek people.
Oh.
You ever see the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding? That's the neighborhood they filmed it in, because that neighborhood actually exists. It's not like they were dressing things up to look Greek. No, it actually is Greek. Yeah, that's the Danforth in Toronto.
I'm such a big fan of that movie.
So the house, I can show you on the computer after.
Is it still
My old
there?
house? It's over there. It's not far. Yeah.
How fun.
But when you look on when they did the film set, what they did was they covered the garage and made it look like a side room, and they made a new driveway for some reason for the film. But everything's the same with the columns and everything, like, all the same. But I don't know why they did it. But they kind of modified the house slightly. Like if you do a picture from the film and a Google Street View, you can see where they kind of changed the garage and put a fake window there and made something on the side. I don't know why they did it, but you could have just used the house the way it was. It wouldn't have made a difference anyway. But anyhow, they slightly modified it with fake dressing it up. But the columns, which is the iconic part of it, that was there.
Yeah.
Now, probably the reason why they did it was camera blocking or whatever. Like
Yeah.
there would have been a reason why they did it anyhow. They have the budget anyway. But yeah, that house is so close to where my old house was. Like literally, I could walk there in like not even 5 minutes.
I guess another interesting thing about when people move to another country is then they find as many of their people from their country and they make a little community, which is very cute.
Yeah.
Like Stefan and his South African,
Yeah.
there's like a big South African community and they all have little barbecue get-togethers. It's
Yeah.
very sweet.
Yeah. Canada has the Canadians in Wellington group
Very
on the
cool.
Facebook. And what always comes on there is this someone who just joins for the first time, like, oh, I just moved here from Canada, would like to meet. The reply is always the same. Just so you know, we're notorious for never meeting. And it's true. Canadians in Wellington don't hang out with Canadians in Wellington.
Wow.
I didn't move to New Zealand to hang out with Canadians. And Wellington is so arts and culture, which Canadians love, but we get enough of what we like about things to not hang out with each other.
Hilarious.
And always like, oh, I just moved to Wellington, I would like to hang out with other Canadians. Like, yeah, just so you know, we're notorious for not hanging out. And I think over the past 10 years, there's been maybe 2 or 3 Canadian events ever. And one was in the back room here, because on Canada Day, I had some Tim Hortons coffee. And I said, all Canadians are welcome on Munch on Canada Day in the back room, some Timmy's coffee. You can come and get a double-double. I think I crammed 12 Canadians back there.
Hilarious.
That's like one of the rare occasions where Canadians got together. They all came down for a double-double. And then, the day of, we're like, oh, we should totally meet more often. Like, yeah, we'll share, we'll put something in. Well, they all walk away. That's never going to happen.
Oh, so funny.
Yeah, no, me, I don't want to. Yeah, I moved to New Zealand not to hang out with Canadians. But you know what I end up with? I get a lot of friends from the U.S. because we're from a different country, but we have cultural similarities enough. But at the end of the day, like, I'm not like, oh, that's too Canadian for me. Like, because our TVs are similar enough and things like that.
Yeah.
Sports and whatnot, music and whatnot. So there's enough similarities to have that nostalgic feel about it, but not from the same country, right?
Kind of
But-
like an Australian and a Kiwi.
Sure, yeah,
Kind
like
of.
an Australian Kiwi in
Have
London,
fun.
England, will get along. Yeah, but a Kiwi doesn't. No, the thing about Kiwis in England, they all just end up living together anyway. That's the Kiwi fail. So I also get a lot of friends from France for some reason, and then Kiwis. You get your little Kiwi friends, your little Kiwi group. There seems to be a lot from France for me. There seems to be a few Americans, some Germans here and there. Because Wellington's so international. I get the Latinos as well. Hang out with them. A few Russians. Like anything, you're from somewhere else in the world, you want to hang out with others. But I always say Wellington's got 3 groups. From Wellington, born and bred. Kiwis that moved to Wellington, international moves that moved to Wellington. Now, the ones who are from Wellington, they're the cliquey ones, so they have a lot of their own friends. Some would be friends, but not many in this group. This one has lots of friends from both these groups.
I'm
This
that
one, yeah, this one has lots of friends from this group, but not many this group. Because you grew up here, you already have your circle.
Right.
You move here, you get along with your fellow countrymen, but you moved here to meet new people, they moved here to meet new people. So that's why these guys get along well. That's why these guys fit together. And these guys is not as much, right? So I'm part of this group, so I have a lot in this group, some in this group, not many in that group. And the thing about this group, they do have international friends, but this is the group that goes abroad for that experience, come back to pasture, right? And they're like, oh, well, I'm from France. I'm like, oh yeah, I spent a couple years in France. It was great. And then they go back to their friends, right? So it's, it's just, that's what Wellington's like.
like completely dark now. I
Yes.
can't even see out the window.
Yeah. But that's not even a Wellington thing. A lot of the world's like that. Like Halifax, I live there, it's very much the same. Local Halifax, Haligonians they call them. There's cliquey as Wellingtonian. Well, it's just as cliquey as well. Yeah.
Me and my partner moved to Wellington on my first year of university.
Oh yeah.
And I think back then I was warned a little bit that it can be quite lonely as a first year because a lot of people already have their pre-established friend group.
Yep, that's right. And that's what I mean.
Yeah, so I definitely felt a little bit of that. Luckily, I found enough people who were from outside as well.
Yeah. The other challenge of Wellington when you move here is it's not a bar stool culture. It's you go up to the bar, you get your drink, and you go back and you sit down, right? And it's a non-tipping culture. So the people working in the bars don't talk to the customers, right? Because they're paid by the hour, they don't get tips. And their bosses are, you got time to lean, you got time to clean. They don't want you to talk to the customers. So, but like for example, if I go to Cleveland and know nobody, Cleveland's a weird place. I go to a bar, sit down, I'll know half the bar within 10 minutes. That doesn't happen in Wellington. You know, you go get a drink, you sit down, but if you're your first day in Wellington, who are you going to talk to? You're going to crash a table? I'll crash a table because I'm that kind of person. I just grab a beer, sit down, I can crash a table and I can make it as awkward as crazy for them. But in my view, I'm going to make it awkward because I'm going to be like, well, if this was New York, it'd be like this. And they'll be like, we're having a private conversation. Yeah, that's fine and dandy, but this is New York, would you say, we're having a private conversation? No, you wouldn't, so I'm not going anywhere. Because I don't give a crap that you're having a private conversation. So I can get past the barrier quickly, and I won't be like all night. I'll walk away like real quick and move on to the next one. But I can see if you're a bit quiet and you move over somewhere else, that's a barrier. But me, it's not a barrier. Because first time in a bar in Wellington, don't know anyone, like, how you doing? And they're like, who's this guy? Like, I just moved here from Canada. What are you guys up to? And they're going to be, he was going to be cool and let me in. So I can do that. Now, if I'm in New York City, I go, how you doing? You know what they would say?
What?
Who the fuck are you? Joey Buttabucci from Friends? Ha! Where are you from? Canada. Fucking Canadian think he's Joey Buttabucci from Friends. I said, how you doing? Like, that's what,
like,
Joey Buttabucci. Joey from Friends.
Right.
If I told New York, I'm like, how you doing? Who the fuck are you? Joey Buttabucci from Friends. That's the reaction you get. But in Wellington, you go, how you doing? They would go. Because no one here's assertive to like, that's a nudge. No one's assertive to, you know. It's not assertive. New Yorkers are assertive. How you doing? I would laugh at you. Who the fuck are you, Joey Buttabucci? Guy thinks he's Joey from Friends. Fucking Canadian guy. They would laugh you under the table for saying that. I do it here as a laugh, but I wouldn't do that in New York City. How you doing? And Jesus go. But it does, you know. But I did meet people here really quickly. But I'll tell you the first story. My first job in Wellington, hairdresser. I don't know anybody. I'm trying to build a clientele base. So I go to Green Man.
Right, you were telling me about that.
I told you about that one?
Yeah, how you went around and you made lots of friends.
Yeah. Bunch of cards everywhere. Work in the room. Yeah, that's a funny story.
I gotta have to do it.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't have to repeat that one. I probably do. It probably comes up in another video anyway. I can repeat stories sometimes because I forget I said it one other time.
I mean, you're talking to a lot of people, so you can.
That's how you build up your business, though. You get a beer, you go around and you card, you know. But it's the same sort of thing. I'll come in and say, how you guys doing, and blah, 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 and have it. And I'll be there, it won't be long. Like, I may only be there for 3 or 4 minutes. Say, by the way, here's a card, and I just move. You know. You have to, you start from nothing. Like, I moved here, 0 friends, 0 clients. And I think I showed up here with $2,000 in a backpack. So you got to build a life. And to do that, it's never ending. Like, you're constantly on. And then 10 years later, I'm still that way. Even like I don't in my brain. So it's you're an established hairdresser. I'm like, am I? At what point did I become established? Or at what point do you ever become established? I would call it Joan Rivers brain. Because even though as long as she's been doing it, she was always worried about booking her next gig. And I don't think she ever was a time where she got past that, right? Yeah. Or Ozzy Osbourne would be the same way too. Like that constant feeling like you're going to go bankrupt if you don't keep going.
The imposter syndrome.
Yeah. Joan Rivers has that. And Ozzy Osbourne has that. Sharon's spending all my money, and they're so well set. But Ozzy comes out of poverty. Like to him, he's always like, "Oh, we could be out of money in 3 months, and this could all disappear." You never lose that feeling, right?
Yeah, I definitely think that having that mindset is it's a very different experience for people who have never experienced it ever.
Well, if you're born into money, and that's what the magic of Schitt's Creek. It's the family that lost their wealth.
Or even Arrested Development, right? Like, how much is a loaf of bread gonna cost?
Yeah. Oh, the best line from that one is, "Here's some money. Go see a Star Wars." Onion, the little kid, onion. Take some money. Go see a Star Wars. He's like, onion. Oh my goodness. You can see it grabbing. Yeah.
It's gonna look so cool. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Never had my hair like this before.
Yep.
It's a whole heap of firsts for me.
Yep. First wedge, mushroom, the mushroom princess, first pixie. No, the first bleach pixie. But yeah, there's a little way too much violet in there for it to be a proper 60s pixie, but we're going to cut it 60s, but with a modern tone. Because you want that double take. The double take. The triple take. The quadruple take. It gets weirder the more you do. Double take, triple take. Anything beyond triple? Yeah.
I can't wait.
Doesn't work anymore.
What?
The quadruple.
Can we go up higher than that?
What would be 8 octave?
I know that children are octuplet. But what is octuplet?
The octuplet tick. I didn't want to do it.
Your neck would hurt.
Yeah. It's like, what is that? Maybe you should go to the doctor for that.
Are you okay?
Yeah. I think you do a double take and a triple take, but anything beyond that, I think you need a doctor for that. This doesn't work anymore. Quadruple take, nah. At that point, it's getting weird.
So if my hair were to be bleached the traditional way, my hair would probably be quite straw-like, right?
Yeah, well, you're talking about the way they did it back decades ago in that era? Yeah, oh, I don't know how they did it or what they were using.
Yeah, how they kept their hair in good condition after all that.
I could research it all, but I think I'm too afraid.
You don't want to know.
Like I can be like, oh, I have all the answers for bleaching in the 50s and 60s. No, I think I'm afraid to. My grandmother would know, but she's passed away now. God, you know.
My grandmother.
Your grand would know.
Yeah, well, see, when I went in to see her, she said, "Emma, you're not you're not bleaching your hair, are you?" And I say, "No, I'm not," because she doesn't like it.
Yeah.
Because I think that she's remembering
what it was,
how it used to be, and she's seen some horrific damage done to hair.
Yeah.
Even now, when people aren't doing it properly and really damaging their hair, and it's coming out with like when they brush their hands through it. Yeah. And she doesn't want that for me, and I can understand.
There's nothing that we did today that's going to lead to any of that stuff. But, yeah.
I trust you.
Yeah.
But I can understand where she's coming from, because I can see if you've been a hairdresser for a long time and you've seen a lot of like horror stories.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, my grandmother would have all those stories too. It's I never got enough time with her later in life. As a kid, you know, it's great. I hung out in her salon a lot. But as you develop your professional career, I mean, we got pictures of her and I sharing, looking at scissors and stuff together. But you know, but she was at that age where you don't want to have her talking about her career anymore. She just wants to chill out. Oh, and she's you know, she's looking at scissors and stuff, and she brought out a bunch of stuff and showed me from that she had left over from her salon. But I never heard, you know, those. Grandma, let's have a bottle of wine and let's share war stories. That never happened. But that would have been cool. She wasn't a drinker. Her husband was. That's why she wasn't. I think he drank enough for the whole family.
My nana took me over to her fridge and she goes, look. She opens it up and it's like little red wine box.
A box of wine.
And I'm like, oh, you see every night.
I love that.
She goes, every night I have a glass.
It's like, what is that? It's a box of wine. You mean they come in a box?
It comes in
When did this happen? Did you know it came in a box? Oh my goodness, why have we wasting my time with bottles all these years? It comes in a box. And like in the USA, you go to the big box stores and they have like the crate with it all stacked up like this, boxes of wine. Like, what is that? Boxes of wine. You grab like one on each arm, like boxes of wine.
Right?
Yeah.
And then there's a little cork. You just open it up, pour a little.
Yeah, it has a little dispenser.
Yeah. On the tap.
But you know, back home I used to buy them. And when you're getting low on it, you take the little plastic thing out of the box and you cut the hole in it, then you're draining the. You're just like, gotta get the last drop out of it.
Right?
Because it's like 2 a.m. or 1 a.m. and it's like, oh, that's the last of the wine. You're like, trying to get squeeze it out of there. Like, wine store's closed.
We don't waste the adult sippy juice.
Yeah. I was always a beer drinker, but the place I lived in the Greek town, the wine store was a closer walk to the beer store.
I see.
And I was in Amazie. So that was my wine drinking years. Not because I preferred wine, because I think the distance was so minuscule. I'm just so lazy. Because if you're in a salon and you feed all the time, you get home and you're tired and you're like, beer store, wine store, beer store, wine store. I think I'm going to get a box of wine. That's how I used to think. And the box of wine wasn't expensive there. Yeah. When you're off your feet for the day, you're off your feet for the day.
Yeah, you vote with your feet.
Yeah. Cool. We'll let that process. We're going to turn this off so we can have our... So we'll do a haircut in this chair, usually instead of a big chair. Just because I'm comfortable over here.
You got your space.
Yeah, this is our space for the night. Most of the videos I'm cutting are in the big chair, but no, we're happy over here. Yeah, there's the color. Once it's dry, it looks better because water gives light reflect. It looks like until it's dry. Once it's dry, it's like oh, but the color will be good. So for the haircut. Sides and back, we're leaving a bit of weight on that because we're doing more of a 60s type Pixie. And we're going to fix them off the top.
So not much is happening on the side?
No, just like slightly clean up. But we like the weight in the back because they didn't do tight sides and back then. They were more of a universal length all around, but they tapered it a little bit sides and back. This day and age, we like to do things tight sides and back. And, well, there's all kinds of different things we do now. But we're trying to do Gene Sieber, 1960 buttress, more of that kind of a Pixie. And this day and age, Pixies are like, I have a customer like, I want a Pixie cut. In my brain, I'm thinking Pixie. But then it's like, okay, well, what are you looking at? And they show pictures, and the Pixies they're looking at are like longer hair. Because magazines, when they show Pixie cuts today, they're not showing traditional 60s Pixies, they're showing, but for somebody with long hair to cut it to that kind of Pixie they're describing is bold and scary for them. But I look at it, I'm like, that's not a I don't say to them, like, that's not a pixie cut. It's just the way modern magazines are interpreting what a pixie cut is. And if I was to show them, like, let's go to Breathless, that movie, and show, a shot of Gene Seabrook, that's a pixie cut. But, same with the bob, like, happened recently. I want a bob, and like, let's see a picture. And she's like, shows a picture. Like a blood haircut this length. It's not even, but to her, that's a bob. And she can go, do you love my bob? She's all proud of her bob. Those things happen now. Because the magazine shows a picture of a bob. So therefore, the reader is like, that's a bob.
Then that's a bob.
That's a bob. Yeah. But I love the, those early 60s pictures, and they had that nice sweet texture to them. And then versatility,
And how did they style them?
Just kind of messy.
Would it have been with
The emphasis
clay?
was on the haircut.
Or just finger messing?
Yeah, finger messy and stuff. Yeah, the emphasis was on the haircut. And they didn't have the products we have today, and God knows if they were even torn apart, or even if they were using a shampoo or conditioner. Maybe they were just, taking showers. And like the roughness of it. Like I wasn't around. I was born in '71, so it's like, well, what product did they use in 1960 when you had a Pixie? There's probably this many people I can count with one hand that had a Pixie around that. So there wasn't many people that had it. It was revolutionary at that time. Gene Seabrook had it. What's her name had it? Mia Farrow. If you look back at early clips when she was with Frank Sinatra, and she had her little pixie cut, was she ever pretty? And I saw one skit, I can't remember what it was. It was like one of those game shows. And they made a cameo, Mia Farrow and Frank Sinatra made a cameo on it. Oh, is it ever funny? And she is so pretty.
Have you ever kissed anybody on this panel? Yes? Oh, good.
Mr. Sinatra?
You got the same name as mine? What did I say? I really didn't know. You naughty, naughty. Naughty, naughty.
But that was revolutionary. And then Twiggy came later on. But that was a bit of a longer haircut.
It was like mod stuff then, right?
Yeah. Even a little bit later than mods. Mods were kind of like 64, so like the urban street movement. By the time Twiggy was 67, that's just commercialization of it. Because everything is an urban movement, and the popularity of it leads to commercialization. Same thing, like hip-hop, for example, started in 73, Bronx. And then commercialization was probably around 79, 80. And then over-commercialization later on. So Twiggy was into the era of the mods that was commercialized. When it was becoming commercialized.
He's looking flicky.
Yep. There was a bit of length that'll do that. Like we can go short if you want. We can go short if you want. So. No, I think we can say that for the next haircut.
It's fun because it was a little short before, and then I've started to notice it's getting a little flicky.
Yeah, no, that's cool. We're gonna do this haircut for tonight, but you can come in even like in a week from now. It's like this isn't working. I'll come back and get the clippers out. We'll do like take the sides of the back in. But for now, like tonight, I want to do more like a BFR or Gene Seabrook.
Ooh.
Yeah, we're there because we don't need to cut much off that. That's kind of
Fun.
Yeah, they were a bit shorter back then. I just don't know if I'm going to go that short with you. Do you want a shorter on top? You wouldn't care.
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll go a little bit shorter on top.
You get a lot of curious people walking by your window.
Oh, of course, you're like a fish girl. Rubberneckers. It was always interesting. I guess that's why people are watching at home. There's a camera going on.
Yeah.
There's that lens, the same as that lens. Those are rubberneckers. Oh, hair silk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I see people turn their full necks and then keep looking as they're going by, which is
Yeah, they do that. They're like, this is, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
This is the as they walk by. And then when you look over at them, and then you do this, you go, like they pretend they weren't looking. Nobody, always, you know, work any salon, it doesn't matter all my life, there's always rubberneckers. Yeah. But it was best, like one of my friends, I'm walking with her, and this is back in that old Greek neighborhood in Toronto, so with the dance park. And she's really cool. So we're going to, from my place, I think we're going to the wine store on Sunny Road to get a box of wine. We walk by the barber shop, and she totally rubbernecks, and she goes, any hot guys in there? Like, she's not rubbernecking in the barber shop, she's looking for the guys. I'm like, I don't know. She's like totally, she's a barbershop rubbernecker, not because she wants to like look at a barbershop, she's looking for guys. I just laughed.
funny.
Yeah, I thought it was great. And then there's like, no, there wasn't any cute boys in there.
There was like one time where I walked into a health pizza, and
Yeah.
I walked in, and then I didn't stare at anyone, but when I walked back out, I went to Stefan. I said, everyone there is good looking. The ladies, the men, everyone looks good there. And I
guess good looking people go to health pizza.
It's like, do you think they only hired good looking people?
Yeah, maybe. You never know those guys. House
A
pizzas.
ploy.
Yeah, house pizzas.
I go in and I find really good looking people. I'm going back because I just want to keep looking at the pretty people.
Yeah. A little bit shorter from us, right? You want to see Pixie. Some of those pixies back then were way up there. I don't know if you want to do that. You want to do that? No, I don't think you want to do that. Like Mia Farrell's, it was cropped. Like, you still cut off. Like, this is still, cut off half that length off the top still. To get to that sort of torso.
I'm so attached to my fringe.
Yeah, me too.
It being close to my eyebrows.
Yeah, me too. We're just going to do what's best for you.
No, you just, the first time I've had a fringe, and I'm kind of just bonded with it.
Yeah, yeah. It's all about, like, we're inspired from things from those different eras, but it comes down to the end of the day, it's all about what's best for you.
You take pieces of it.
Yeah, elements of it, and turn it into something for you. Yeah. Yeah, that's fun. You can see as I'm combing and cutting and starting to dry a little more, you can see the colors start to become a little more universal.
As I'm washing it, the purple will come out a little bit, eh?
Well, that's why you can give you some violence.
Yeah, the silvery thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, blondes weren't like this back then at all. The blonde shades weren't like this back then at all. Marilyn Monroe. Remember that Flight of the Conchords when he's dating the Australian? Do you remember that episode? Yeah. She's like, my mom says I look like Marilyn Monroe. Like what? Like what? Marilyn Monroe. Like what?
She says I sound like Marilyn Monroe.
Did you catch that?
What are you, deaf? Marilyn Monroe?
Oh, Marilyn
Yeah.
Monroe.
Yeah.
What about her?
I talk like
sounds
her now.
like
Yeah, she does
I
sound
talk
a bit
like
her.
her.
Yeah, I suppose if you squint your ears. Yeah.
Told ya.
Like Marilyn Monroe. Like what did she say? Marilyn Monroe. She's saying Marilyn Monroe. She's like, and her name's Keitha, like with a K.
Keitha.
What's her name? Keitha. Like Keith with an A. That's what it is. Oh, her name's Keitha, like Keith with an A. It's Keitha. God, I love that episode. And he wakes up in her apartment. He thinks he's been abducted by an Australian. Like he calls it, oh, you gotta get out of there. Jump out of the window. Yeah, the kid did. Kids in the hole.
Oh, is there a hole nearby?
Oh, there's a bunch. There's two down there, there's one up there. This whole neighborhood's halls. Kids in the Hall. There was another comedy troupe in Canada called Kids in the Hall. So I said, Kids in the Hall. I'm like, oh my god, that's another Canadian reference. I have to show you them next. Yeah, it's a longish 60 Pixie. It's not really as short as some of them, but it's really cute on you.
Wow.
See what I mean, eh?
It's so cute.
That the moisture's coming out of it? Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
You start to see the color come through. Yeah, that's really cute. The way that's starting to come together. Yeah.
I've never had it like this before.
Yeah. Now you see how the shape of it is better with that bit of weight side to back, rather than taking the clippers and going.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of Pixie.
Yeah.
Because I'm glad I'm happy to take the clippers out, but not today.
I think it's cute.
Yeah.
It's sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that kind of forward, but slightly pushed over. Forward on it. Yeah. Cotton Pixies, drinking beers,
I'm going to use a rock a red one for this, absolutely.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty cool. Drinking beers, making blondes, cotton pixies. What'd you do this weekend? Make some beers, make some pixies, make some blondes.
I met a pixie.
Yeah.
We haven't pretty boring anything so far. Although Easter I went to go and see my mum.
Yeah.
My mum and my dad.
Oh yeah. Where's Mummy and Dad?
They're down in Levin as well.
Living
Living and living.
Is that where you grew up, Levin? That's why you always had long hair. Can't find a good haircut in Levin.
No, I can't say that because I've got my nana would give me haircuts.
Oh, but your nana's on Levin though, is she?
She is in Levin.
Oh, is she in Levin?
Yeah.
Oh, that's where you can find a good haircut. Your nana's
Mm.
in Levin, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't know that for certain. All I know is there's one story.
But she always told me to keep my hair long.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Now, I'm not knocking your grand with this story. This is the stereotype in my brain about Levin based on another client of mine. So, yeah, you know, small town haircuts. Like, oh, what? I'll get her some clothes. What did she take her for a haircut? Yeah, it's not getting good. Nothing about that's going to.
Yeah, and then as I said, I think in the other chair I said that I used to be quite attached to my length.
Yeah.
I used to think that without it, all my youth would just disappear.
Yeah, I know.
Shrivel away.
But that's you know, conformity in youth, right? Like, no one's going to ask me to the prom if I have short hair. Yeah.
It's the only thing that's making my face look good.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's all. But then but there's a difference between like a child with a haircut or a woman with a haircut. You're a woman with this hair, right? But if you did this when you were 15,
I don't think I would have been ready for it.
no, you would not have gone to school next day. Like you would be like, Mom, I can't go to school, I'm sick. And then you go to school, you're like,
I probably didn't have the confidence to pull it off.
no,
either.
I know, but that's the difference
Self-conscious.
between a woman and a haircut and youth
yeah.
with a haircut, you know? Yeah. I think we're there.
That's fun.
Yeah, fun. And the corners out of it.
I used to be afraid of barber cutters.
Yeah, not anymore, right? No.
But big fuzzy noise as a kid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, how does a boy let them get that in the ear? So scary.
Yeah, but boys are forced to do these haircuts probably from about 3 years old on.
Do you think do some of them get scared?
No, not most, but some do. I'd say majority don't. Doesn't bother affect them at all. But then some do. Like I was a kid who hated having a haircut.
Yeah.
And I grew up around hairdressers, right? And I hated it. I hated having my haircut so much, and I used to fight them. Like, I don't want a haircut. And I used to be like, go to your room, and like they locked me in for 3 days. You're only getting out until you get a haircut. Like, literally. But it's just a different time. They were 6, right? Hated it. So by the time you're 13, that's when you're assertive enough to fight them. I'm not getting a haircut anymore. So, and then by then it gets even worse because they fight you even more. But you're old enough that you're starting to win the battle. So I think by the time I was 15 or 16, it was a ponytail. At 15, it was reaching a ponytail. It got long. So by the time 16 or 17, it was long. It was really long hair. And I was able to grow a beard early.
Wow. What age?
By 17, I had long hair and a ponytail and a beard.
Jeez,
right?
that was quite young.
Yeah, it's good. But also the difference between, like I started high school in 86. The difference between my high school culture experience and youth today was they weren't strict on IDing to get into a bar. right? So if you're 17 and you had a ponytail and a beard,
You get away
you
with
got
it?
served. Yeah. And when you look back at kids in high school at my time, most of them looked older because you got into it's all about getting into a bar because they weren't as strict.
It was the first time this year I haven't been carded.
Yeah?
I'm like 26 now. I'm used to, I'm automatically
Because you
pulling
look like
out.
a woman with a woman's haircut.
Yeah, I think it's the haircut. This
Yeah.
is the first time I've ever.
Yeah.
After you cut my hair, it's the first time I pulled out my ID card and they're like, oh, you're fine. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh.
No, there's another one of my high school stories. I remember a girl a year younger than me in high school. Because I was in high school band, and she was a year younger than me. I used to talk to her a lot, and she had this long, cool hair. Like it wasn't anything crazy. And then I left that high school, went to another high school, but I bumped into her into a bar. But she's younger than me, and it was short, like this kind of short. I looked at her like, what happened to your hair? She said, I got drunk at a party, and when I passed out, someone cut it off.
Whoa.
So then I had to go to the hairdresser and have it. This is the haircut I ended up with.
Yeah.
I go, do you hate it? She goes, no, I don't mind it because no one asks me for ID anymore.
Yeah.
She goes, underage drinking. She says, to be honest, at first I hated it until I realized I looked older. The key to underage drinking. Because I think that night we were in a club and I think we were both too young to be in there. Because in Toronto our drinking age was 19. I think I was 18, she was 17 that night. She goes, no, I look older, I get into places. So for her it worked. And I gotta admit, I think I kind of liked her with this short hair. I don't remember her name, but if she watches these videos.
Yeah,
I was
I
gonna
get
say,
a lot of people now
yeah,
looking at me going,
I-
gosh, she looks so different.
Yeah, don't move yet, I'll show you the back of the mirror.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
And you see what I mean when it's got a bit of weight sides and back?
Yeah.
And then with the length on top?
Good little bounce.
Yeah, it's got a little bit. Yeah, it's really cool. Let's do some photos. Photos.
Can you remember to turn this little guy off?
I'll just leave it on.
Do you need it off?
Doesn't matter, I decided I should have.
Are you not worried about the battery? Oh,
Yeah,
you got
yeah.
it plugged in, I guess.
Yeah. Where's my camera?
Switch, switch.
Which one? It is adorable. I think this is the most you've ever looked in your entire life. Like this is just there. Look at America. Doesn't this feel you?
It's just so fun.
Yeah.
Well, then, dress it up.
Yeah. Go back in front of the camera and admire yourself. One last time. For the audience.
It makes me want to like put on red lipstick.
Yeah, I got red lipstick. Do you want me to get some red lipstick?
Oh.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Humor the folks at home. You don't have to. Have you got some?
I've only got this.
Good enough. I have.
Which is, I've already got it on.
That's fine. Oh no, because you don't want to layer lipstick over top of what you already got. Yeah, I know what you mean. But I do have great red lipstick, but you don't have to. Well, your whole look today. We didn't dress you up either. This is more of a.
This is my.
But you're so bohemian anyway. You're a little bit bohemian anyway with the look, which is kind of what the 60s is kind of like. Yeah. Cool. So what are we going to do next month?
I don't know.